Welcome to another edition of Dan Frequently Asked Questions. In this edition, we'll be discussing asthma and diving. Keep watching. We got a question from a diver who wanted to do a PADI course and had been asked about their asthmatic condition and, of course, whether or not they'd be fit to dive. Now, asthma and diving is a huge topic, but I'll try and make it as simple as possible. First of all, there are a variety of triggers of an asthmatic response. It may be in result of allergens, stress, saltwater aspiration, or even exercise itself, particularly if the air or gas you breathe is cold and dry. As a result, diving itself is a significant provocation of asthma. Now, in the past, our concern with asthma was that you might develop a lung overpressure injury. We now understand the main difficulty is maintaining maximum minute ventilation, and particularly if you dive deeper than 30 meters, the density is 4 times as much, and therefore the resistance is twice as much to breathe, and therefore for someone who has narrowed bronchioles, it's going to be harder and harder to breathe, and they can build up carbon dioxide, either leading to altered consciousness or precipitating panic. In addition, when the person returns to the surface, they may find a surface swim or just remaining on the surface being exhausting because of the bronchoconstriction. So that is why we are concerned about asthma and diving. So what should you do? Well, in terms of managing asthma, the preferred method, depending of course whether it is not as severe as requiring oral cortisone medication and so on, or admission to hospital, if we're talking about a relatively benign or mild form of asthma, the preferred treatment is a cortisone inhalation pump with or without a long-acting bronchodilator. Why a long-acting bronchodilator? Because we don't want the person to have exacerbations during the day or during night. So the combination of cortisone and a long-acting bronchodilator, or sometimes cortisone alone, is sufficient to maintain and manage most forms of asthma. Now, in order to determine whether you, on a particular day, are fit to dive, we recommend that you acquire one of these. The original one is called a Wright's peak flow meter. There are many brands. This is Cybelmed's version. But they all have one thing in common. They have a slider that, as you blow, essentially moves down and gives you a reading in milliliters per minute. So it then gives you an indication of how much gas moves through your lungs and through your airways at maximal exhalation. Now, what you do when you don't have any asthmatic symptoms is you do 3 of these readings and get an average reading. So reading 1, reading 2, reading 3 divided by 3, that's your normal baseline. Now, when you go diving, just prior to diving, you do the same thing. 3 blows, draw the average. If the average is 10% less than your normal baseline, it means that your airways are compromised. And it should either be managed right there and then, or you should defer the dive. That will depend, of course, on the severity. Let's say your exhalation is 500 liters per minute, and that's your baseline, and you then test your lungs and it's 450, it means you have lost 50 milliliters or 10%. And that would mean that your lungs are impaired and they would need attention and possibly the dive to be deferred. I would always recommend you going to a diving physician to get that checked out and reinforce some of the recommendations we've made. There are excellent resources that Dan has made available that are readily accessible through either YouTube or Google searches, and we refer you to those as well. I hope that answers the question, and until next time, safe diving.